If earth peace is to herald the dawn of the new age, realize that
Humanity is one's only religion, breath one's only prayer, and consciousness one's only God. And now you are centered in the golden lotus of the heart behind your spine. In this lotus, when you witness your natural breath, a transformation takes place from emotions to love. So emotions are transformed to love. You are the witness to this happening, and this shall transform all depression, all negative residual traces of negativity into positive life energy growth, into positive emotions. Teach your body and mind to be still and have patience with your breath, and the breath shall work its magic upon gross desires, converting the base ore of desires into the golden emotion of love. This is the Hamsa of the watchful breath, the soft style, which transforms all negativity to positive love, positive emotions. And now we shall do the Hamsa of the willful breath. O Divine Indweller, the breath is thine, the will is thine. But take my life and let it be thy life and joy eternally. O Divine Lord, take my life. Into thy hands I commend my spirit. Into thy heart and hands I give my life and breath and spirit. O Divine Lord, because I love you, I lay my life on the line for you and nobody else. So you can temporarily touch the spot of the heart, then touch the back where the golden lotus is, and you can put your hands down after scratching the back exactly where the lotus is. And focus there. You do the Hamsa of the willful breath, where you restrict the breath by what is called a kumbhak. Restriction need not be always with restraining the breath, it can be a mental restriction also. So it is the nirodh of the vritti. It is a nirodh, a restriction of the vritti. That means the whirlpool of thoughts. Vritti, chitta vritti nirodhasya. That's what Patanjali, the greatest master of psychology and spiritual samadhi, chitta vritti nirodhasya. So, to constrict, to contain the whirlpools of the mind, you must contain it in various methods, which are taught by different masters over the ages from time to time. And so, and in that restriction, you contain all negativity and thoughts. I wouldn't say kill them, you still them to such a state that they transform into positive life energy growth. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. Thoughts are very subtle matter, but can only be transformed. This is the law of conservation of mass into energy, and energy into thought, and thought into consciousness. And now, the divine breathes through you, and the golden petals of the lotus open to contain any negativity and restrict them. Hung. Hung. Sa. Hang. The Golden Lotus meditation is going on. Sa. Hang. Sa. Hang. Sa. Sa. Hang. 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 Sa. Stop. Drop. And now do the observation. After the restriction, after the containment of those negative thoughts, diluting them, smashing them to pulp, then we transform them into a diviner emotion of love. And by observing the transformation all the time, after the concentration, when you meditate and observe the breath, which is the transformation takes place. And in the concentration, which is the willful breath, the containment, the isolation, almost a vanishing point. You can isolate your negativity to a vanishing point. Such should be your peak concentration. Concentration when you do the willful breath. The containment of the breath is the most scientific way ever found in the world today, is to die to your old habits. When there is a total stilling of the breath, there is a state of pranic and mental death. This death makes you die to negative habits. There is the death of negative habits in the sense that they are transformed to positive life energy growth. And then when you observe it, the transformation takes place. You see, the higher the center you work on, the subtler it gets. So the longer it takes. And And as you observe the breath gently flowing, you're radiating love to yourself and to the whole world. You are getting earth peace through self-peace. There can be no earth peace without self-peace. So first you must yourself be at peace and at rest with yourself. Those who diligently practice these techniques, I promise you, shall not go fruitless. They shall achieve to the goal. And the golden lotus and the bread to transform all negativity and emotions to divine love. And then we get to the third stage at the third eye, where there is the pearl and swan, the pearl-colored swan at the midpoint between the eyebrows, 2.5 inches in depth in the third ventricle. So you do the Guru Shishya Mudra at the third eye of the third ventricle and say in one voice after me. You visualize the pearl and swan. But before, just a minute, put your hands down please. Are you, what? I'm talking to the ladies, the two ladies, and you talk in the middle. You're Brian Gates, aren't you? There's nothing the good with you as yet. You're normal. Okay, yes. But the watchful breath, you're just observing the natural breath. And it gives you an idea that even if you don't try, God breathes through you. He cares for you. Even though you forget Him moment to moment. God remembers us from moment to moment. This is the degree of the ungratefulness of humanity to its Creator. I'm not trying to embarrass us, I'm just saying how foolish we are. I mean, He gives us breath from moment to moment, and we are so beautiful in our innocence, we forget Him from moment to moment. Because we think we've got very big and this, and we're doing a big job, or we've got big money, or we're doing work in Intel, or we're doing work in this shop, we're doing work in that shop. We don't forget God. Every time God's breath runs all the Intels and Microsofts and General Motors, plus the motor of humanity. So let us not forget. So now we get to the third phase. Do only the middle breath. In one voice, the pearl and swan. You know the pearl is white? Do you know that? And do you know that it has a slight rainbow colored hue? I used to say the opal swan, opalescent. That is a little, pearl is softer. The Cigno Bianco, pearl and swan. Okay? Cigno Bianco. Here. White Cigno. Cigno is the swan, Bianco is white. Okay? Pearl and swan am I.
Pearl and swan am I.
No, in one voice. Pearl and swan am I.
Pearl and swan am I.
Who divinity breathes.
Who divinity breathes.
It inhales. Answered in the practice itself. The practice does it. It's like before lunch I ask you, oh, well, what's the lasagna today? And what do we have for drinks? Do we have guava nectar, or do we have punch, or do we have this? Or I ask a lot of questions. But when I go there and I eat the lunch, then I'll have no questions, because I'm an experienced man. I've experienced. So similarly with practice, when you are practicing, you come across those difficulties. When you practice, you come across, face to face with the nitty-gritties of your mind. Boom, direct problem you face, and then you learn to solve those problems on your own. You have to learn to solve those problems on your own. So when you're doing the Mahamudra, when you're doing the Shiva Shakti, there are many thoughts, many problems, and then you get your own solutions in your mind. That's the intuition and solution of your soul. So your practice solves many of your question answers. This is a very important thing to know. And in this you really can't go wrong, because your soul corrects you. It's a soul corrective practice. The soul corrects your practice. So practice answers about 70 to 80% of your questions. In my case, it answers about 100% of the questions. There are no questions. Because how can a child go wrong who's learning to walk? You see? And in our case, when we begin first, we are like the child and we start walking. We feel that we are going to fall. And if you see, when the child just starts walking, the mother or the parent has his hands like this and says, come on, and it starts toddling. And then it feels that as though it's going to fall, but the parents really don't let it fall, although the child feels it will fall. So this is the case with our sadhana and with God. We really do not fall. We cannot fall into depression or a pit of negativity unless He deems it necessary for the betterment of our evolution. You go through a bad piece of karma. Good for you. Good for you that you go through a bad piece of karma, because everything is a learning. Some things happen good, some things happen bad, but it's a learning of God. He teaches you, oh, you've been through your bad karma, never to repeat it again. It's done with, it's done and gone. Forget it. Otherwise, you try to forget it by mantra and tantra, by means of technique, by means of mantra, by means of protection. You try to avert certain of your bad karma. It comes back to you in your next life with interest. So what I would say, somebody asked me and then he never came back again to me. He said, tell me something about healing. So I said, suffering is the best healing. If you suffer, you evolve. And he said, oh, that's very harsh. You burst all my bubbles in one shot. I'm a healer, she said. I said, maybe you are, but I'm not a healer. I don't deal in healing. I get straight to the point. She said, isn't it too much for a simple person to do? I said, no, it's not. If you set your feet upon the path, if you practice, you can do it. Nothing is impossible. The good Lord has made you in His image to invest your time. See, now this is what I call a solid investment of your time. Solid, fruitful, because you're breathing, creating God within you from moment to moment, not idling your time. So some yogis go to such an intensity where they really withdraw in the cave and they say nothing else but God. Their whole body becomes a wave, an electromagnetic wave saying only God, God, God. The body is transformed. The flesh, the slush of the body, the flesh, the slush, the disease, the AIDS, the cancer is all transformed into electromagnetic wave of light. This is madness. This is madness. I've seen, like, in the evening we used to see Sri Yukteswar standing in the evening sunlight at his ashram in Puri. And suddenly with the evening rays, he was gone with the evening rays, gone into the center of the sun. He was married, he had a daughter. He went into the rays of the sun. And sometimes, occasionally, he said, okay, Baba, we brought some good fish for you, pomfret, they say. He said, okay, as long as it's lightly cooked, I'll have it. So they said, you who are such a great yogi, you see, in the country here we have a lot of veganism. So being a vegan is set, so important is it being a vegan that it's more important than seeking God also. So it's like the tail is so heavy that it's wagging the dog instead of the dog wagging the tail. The tail is heavy and the dog goes ha 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 ha, and the tail's in one place. So you don't have your priorities right. When you don't have your priorities right, what happens, Tom? The tail wags the dog instead of the dog wagging the tail. It's like a bull dangling between its horns. You're giving the wrong things importance. Give veganism importance, but it's not the end of the world. In India they diet and they have very sattvic food, have only vegetarian, and they think they've done yoga. In the East, in India. But that's not yoga. It's a support to yoga. So in the East, then my mother will say, oh, I fasted for so many days and I'm only on curds and rice and I've only had bananas and curds, and so I'm this thing. Okay, come on, you're very pious and this and that, but that's just a fasting of it. It's not yoga. It's a help to you. You come here in the West and you read the yoga journalists. He's yogi, he's put the sole of his foot on the top of his head. It's yoga. That's not yoga. That's postural integration. Energetics. Postural integration. It helps towards yoga, which you are doing now, yoga sadhana. That helps towards it, but it's not yoga. It's auxiliary. But Mahamudra is yoga. Can you tell me why? Because Khetri Mudra is applied in it. The breath is flowing through the central, the spinal canal. It's not an asana. It's not just a postural integration. Of course, in many yoga institutes, you do the Paschimottanasana, but it's not done with the technique of the life essence of God flowing through your spine. Oh Lord, thou art the river of light flowing in my spine. Transform me into thee. Finished. That's transformed the whole Mahamudra into yoga. That's it. Can you dig it? I'm learning to speak American, and that's the only word I know, and the other word I know is big time.
State of the art.
State of the art is British. It's not in the Webster. So I read the Webster dictionary. I said, let's get to know mind. I said, no mind. Irresponsible, imbecile, and nincompoop who has no responsibility for his actions. A crazy man, a man out of his mind, no mind. So I said, okay. Then I was told that they call it clear mind here. So then I called it soul consciousness of thoughtless awareness. This gets you to it. Every time you breathe, your thoughts are transformed. Every time they go in the breath in the canal, your thoughts are transformed into mental ideation, into life energy growth. The mental ideation, which is subtler than thoughts, that is the recall of past thoughts. First, there are the immediate thoughts, which worry the mind. Then there's the recall of past thoughts, which worry the mind. And then there's the impression of the recall of those past thoughts. They leave a particular flavor. They leave a particular flavor. Sometimes a very beautiful flavor. If you date somebody out and it's a beautiful moonlit night, and you have memories of the past, and you revel in those memories, they are recalled. The habit of mind is to recall the pleasant memories and to reject painful memories. I was in Hawaii once. I was swimming on the beach, so I was running on the beach, and they were irresponsible. I was running barefoot. I took my shoes off, and there was a broken bottle stuck in the sand like this with the glass, and the whole foot went in here. I've still got the mark here, and the whole flesh came out with all the sand inside and all. So I said, what the hell should I do? So we went limping to the garden with the flesh hanging out. That memory I've never recalled. It's a painful memory. It's bad. I don't like it. I imagine myself with a garden hose wiping this, and it was paining because the sand had got inside the flesh. It hung out, nice chunk of meat. I was just washing it. I said, may as well get away, wash it and get done with it. Did it and tore the sarong, which they wear, these Hawaiian lungis, put it around the foot. And so I think we've got a video of that also where it's cut and he's stitching it and I'm giving a transmission. So that means they said, if you're a true yogi, you're talking about apparent self and true self. Can your mind be so steady when your foot is cut and fallen apart that you can give a transmission? Where's that video? Have you got it? Yeah. We can make some copies of that. We need one for India also. And we need Angelo to see that. So if his foot is cut, he would be able to give a transmission. This thing. For Italy, we need one. So can we make some copies, Todd?
Yeah.
In good, this thing. I didn't take one in India. I think you gave me one, or I didn't bother to take one. I want one. So that is the thing. So the doctor, we phoned up and he said, okay, don't let it clot. So some people were not getting a transmission. They said, we don't get your transmission. They were not callous. The heart had not opened up and they couldn't get the transmission. So I said, the doctor's saying this is clotting. He says it shouldn't, clot up, otherwise I can't clean it. I have to open it and clean it. I said, doctor, I've cleaned it with a garden hose. He said, that's not enough. Just keep it open. So Dr. Susot was there. And so I said, no, what? Now we go for lunch yoga. Eat your food with relish and love. Put your hands on your food for half a second and say, Lord, bless this food. Let the vibrations bless it, your soul vibrations. And then start eating. Because remember, in India, eating is a prayer. Like you say, no, in other countries it's a science, it's an art, it's decoration, you see the food with your eyes. We don't beat around the bush, we just say it's God. God is the food, the eater is God, the to be eaten is God, the process of eating is God, everything is God. Om Brahmarpanam Brahma Havira Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmavatana Gantavyaham Brahma Karma Samadhinam Swaha, and everything goes to God.
Quite simply and effortlessly, Yogi Raj reveals to the initiated and the uninitiated alike how, at the level of consciousness, all humanity is one. Thus, acting as a catalyst for positive change and towards inner transformation, Hamsa Yoga Sangh helps you witness your innermost self flowering and evolving into a newer being. Let not precious moments slip by. Seek now the ultimate truth. Jiva Hamsa, spread your wings to fly, immortal realms which death defy.
Humanity is one's only religion, breath one's only prayer, and consciousness one's only God.